Okay, I think we'll get started here. So, thanks everyone for joining today, during which what I'm sure is a very busy time for you with just 5 days now left until AEP kickoff. Today, I will walk through a overview of the HealthSherpa for Medicare product, go through a few slides and a full end-to-end product demo, uh, and a few new additions as well too. So just some housekeeping up top. So you can use Zoom's Q&A tool to ask questions, share feedback, requests, etc. While I'm talking here, and I've got some colleagues on the call who will help answer those in real time. If we don't get to them all by the time I'm done with this presentation, we'll hang out at the end and make sure those are all answered. And after this, I'll email a recording of this webinar plus the Q&A list to all attendees if you want to read that later. So with that, I'll hop into the HealthSherpa for Medicare overview. So you may be familiar with HealthSherpa's ACA product. Over the last 10 years, we've been building up that product to become what is now the #1 platform for brokers to quote, enroll, and track their ACA book. Across those past 10 years, for a long time, many of those customers have said, "Hey, HealthSherpa, why don't you do what you've done for ACA, but now for Medicare?" And that is essentially what we've done with HealthSherpa for Medicare. So as of October 1st of last year, we are live with HealthSherpa for Medicare. It is similar to our ACA product where you can quote, enroll, and track your business from one single platform. And if you're familiar with that ACA platform, you're going to find this pretty familiar too with a low learning curve. Similar navigation, workflows, look and feel, etc. So you can kind of hop right in and get working if you're already used to that. Also, like our ACA platform, this is totally free for agents, agencies, even GAs and FMOs. This is kind of core to the Health Sherpa philosophy that the kind of shoppers on the site, which is you, the agents, shouldn't fund the site. So we're carrying that over into our Medicare platform as well. Another thing we're carrying over is that this platform is upline neutral or FMO neutral, meaning that if you or the agency you work at uses multiple different uplines to get all of your Medicare contracts and appointments, that's fine. Even if you have, one, two, or 20 different uplines, that's fine too. It's not going to limit what you can do on this platform in any way because we're neutral. And this is kind of distinct from how a lot of the other platforms work, where if you have multiple uplines, you can find yourself juggling between multiple platforms that you have to use depending on the carrier and the upline you go through, who each have their own kind of individual platform. Or you might find yourself toggling between tabs if you go enroll on every different carrier site, which can be a lot to manage. So we hope this presents a new simple way to do everything kind of in one place, regardless of what your upline situation might be. Also, because we're upline neutral, that means if your uplines change over time, HealthSherpa Medicare remains intact. You don't have to transfer data in or out of anything if you have any of those upline transitions. And it means that this is your data. You can come sign up right now, create an account all by yourself. That's your account. No one else needs to have access to it to sort of control your data, control your book of business as you wish. So kind of a bird's eye view of what this platform is. It's really a CRM to house and store your client data, a quoter to quote those clients, and enrollment forms to get enrollment applications off to the carrier. Behind the scenes, we've partnered with Connecture for a lot of our data here, and they've been in the Medicare data space for a good dozen years. So they power our quoter data, plan data, drug data, provider data. They're known to have the best drug quoting data in the biz, and they now source their data from Zealous, known to have the best provider data for quoting in the business too. When you click enroll, as you'll see in a second here, you drop into the Connecture enrollment forms, which are, tried and true industry standard ways to get enrollment files off to carriers. Very established, secure way to get enrollment files out. And that's what's going on behind the scenes. For the agent user, this will all feel pretty seamless because when you hop into an enrollment form, it's pre-filling with everything that you've entered thus far. No copy pasting, dual entry required. And when you submit it, it comes back and updates the CRM record automatically so that everything is in sync. We also have a growing list of carriers available on the platform. So we're now up to 91 MA carriers quotable on the platform, 32 sub carriers quotable, and then our enrollable list has grown quite a bit lately. So we're now at 51. Notable brand new additions to that list are Humana and WellCare. So Humana went live last week, and WellCare is actually going has gone live today. So y'all are actually the first to hear that WellCare is now live for enrollment on HealthSherpa. With that addition, we now have all six of the big six national carriers available for enrollment on the site, and then over 40 regional carriers on top of that. So good coverage wherever you are. This list also grows every month, so stay tuned and let us know if there are any particular carrier requests that you have. You can drop that in the chat or in our feedback channels. Also, if you're just joining us, maybe you've checked us out a year ago, last EP, and you haven't checked back since. We have been very busy. We ship a lot of new features and updates all the time, largely based on feedback we hear from you, the agent user. So this is the big list, and this actually isn't even everything. But some highlights on the left are that we've added a whole bunch of new carriers, of course, Humana and WellCare being the big ones. We've added MedSup, intake forms I'll show you, agency accounts I'll also show you. Um, and then we've also leaned into integration. So if you're using any of these CRMs, Go High Level, Medicare Pro, that can include GoGuru and DFY and what's the other one? Agent CRM as well too. Or we can all integrate with those now, and I'll show you more about that in a second. Okay, one important note. If you're used to going into our ACA platform and just going straight to healthsherpa.com to do that, um, you're just going to want to note that our Medicare platform is a separate platform. And if you want to sign up for it or log into it, go to medicare.healthsherpa.com. Remember that, bookmark that, and that's how you'll find your way to the Medicare side. So yeah, if you go to medicare.healthsherpa.com, you're going to land here, and it's really easy to sign up. Anyone can sign up whenever they want. Just click this button, fill out a few details, NPN, etc., and that's it. You've got your account, and you can start going. So when you first sign up, this will be empty, of course, but these are test clients for my test account. But yeah, right away, 10 seconds later, you can be quoting, you can be adding contacts, doing a whole bunch of stuff. The only one piece of setup that you'll need to do is to make your carriers enrollable. You'll want to click over here to the carriers tab. You may see that we preloaded some of your carriers for you, but otherwise you'll just want to go here, add your carrier like so, enter your writing number, or if the carrier doesn't use a writing number, you'll enter your NPN, press add carrier, and then you will see instantly, if it's one of those 51 enrollable carriers, you're going to see a ready to sell status just like this. And that's because all 51 of those carriers are sending us ready to sell data for every single appointed agent, typically every night. So this is actually a nice kind of side benefit of the platform is that you've got one place you can go see and remind yourself of where you're ready to sell, knowing that it comes straight from the source of truth, the carrier themselves, and that it is typically nightly fresh or a handful of carriers weekly at the latest. So, and this also, by the way, tells us where we're going to let you enroll. Our system lets you into enrollment forms where we can see that you're ready to sell. So with all your carriers added, you're all done with setup and you can start using the tool in full. If you want, you can start by importing your existing book of business from wherever you're currently storing it, whether that's another CRM or enrollment platform or even just a spreadsheet. You'll just fit that to our spreadsheet template, upload it, and that way you get tens or hundreds or thousands of clients into the system with just one click. The other way you can do it is just add contacts in one by one. So let's take that scenario actually and lead into our kind of core workflow demonstration of a new lead to an enrolled client. So if you have a new lead on the phone and you wanted to get them into the system, you could start by quoting first and saving their details second, or you can save their details first and quote second. So let's look at that way. I'll click add contact here. That will take me to the add contact form where I can fill out, as much or as little of this as I like. Down here, I can log their Medicare and Medicaid information. Pretty soon, we will have embedded lookups for their Medicare details and Medicaid eligibility statuses. That's about a month or two away. Until then, as an interim solution, we do have a link off to a guide that will show you how to do that lookup across a variety of broker portals step by step, where you can pull that and then log it right here. So with that filled out, I'll press create contact and I'll get my contact record, Jane Doe here, with everything that I just entered up top. At first, my Jane Doe record, will be empty, but here's what a fully filled out contact record looks like. So for Jane Doe, I've got a enrollment section here that's showing me everything I've enrolled Jane in through the system. If I submit it through HealthSherpa, these enrollment cards get automatically created for me with all the relevant enrollment details included, plan information, confirmation number, PDF copy of the app, etc. And as I enroll Jane in plans over time, these just stack up and create a nice enrollment history for me. If I do ever need to enroll in a plan outside of the HealthSherpa system, then I can always just create an enrollment record from scratch just to keep my tracking up to date and this being a really good source of truth for what I've done for Jane. And that will just exist right here in this list like the others. So here you can do this step actually either in the quoter or right here. Both will work the same. This is adding in drugs, pharmacies, and providers. So you'll just go here to add some drugs, type in a few letters, get a drug result, toggle to the generic if you like, adjust the quantities, save, and put them in one by one that way. Or alternatively, you can put them in using our new RX Assist feature. So this is actually the first ever AI-powered feature at HealthSherpa. What this allows you to do is, let's say you have a lot of drugs to enter and you don't want to go one by one clicking and typing those in at the bottom. You can put all, 12, 15, however many drugs in this text box all at once, with the details, like Xanax, 10 milligrams twice per day. And you can even use plain English twice per day, once a week, 3 times a month, whatever you want. Even typos and drugs will be fine. Press add drugs and get the table filled out that way with just a click. And that should really save you some time. This AEP, whether you're doing that live with the call or copy pasting it in from another system. So you can also enter your pharmacies in a similar way, and then you can enter your providers too. So you can just do a provider search by name, pick a search result, and get your providers in. Select a location from this list. And then if they're the PCP, you can check this box to identify them as the PCP. And doing that will pre-fill the enrollment form later with that PCP's information, NPI, etc., so that you're not trying to do that during the application process. Down here, you can send out a scope either via text or via email, and that's going to go to them from you, your name, where they can click a link, sign the scope, and then you get a notification and the status updates as so. You can also send out an intake form. So this has become a quite popular feature lately. Essentially, what this allows you to do is ask the client to review and update their own information before your sales call, so that you're not doing that kind of data entry on the call and can get right into a plan recommendation. So to do that, you can also send it out as an email or a text, again, coming from your name. They're going to get a link they can click, which will take them right here. Your logo, your name, etc. They'll enter their birth date, and now they are actually seeing whatever you have on record for them. So that's matching what's up top here. And they can edit it, which will update your records. Say they have a phone number change or an address change, they can just make that update themselves. Likewise, if you have any drugs on file for them, they're going to see those drugs and they can add, edit, or delete from that list, which will update your system too if they've had any changes to the drugs they take. Same for pharmacies, same for providers too. By the way, this all has been designed to work great on mobile since most of these end up getting done on mobile smartphones. And then once they're done, we also drop them into the scope while we've got them, which is this simple form using the CMS models SOA form. Fill that out, sign, submit, they're done. You get emails upon completion, and then yes, this is all tracked here with statuses. So that was one way to send the intake form. It's sending Jane Doe her personal, Jane Doe intake link. The other way you can do this is go here and select some or all of your clients and send everyone their personal intake link in bulk. Finally, the third way you can do intakes is with your public intake link. So this is your permanent link. And what this can handle for, unlike the others, is people who are not yet in your system, neither as a client or a lead, who can come in fresh, fill out a blank intake form, and create a lead record for you. So this can also be used as a lead intake form, or if it catches anyone who's already in your system, it won't make a dupe. It will go to updating their record. So check that out. That can really save you some time in a busy AEP. And then yeah, finally you've got notes at the bottom here. And that's all you can do on the Jane Doe contact record. But really at any time you want, you can hop into a quote for Jane by clicking this Shop for Jane button. And that'll take you here. So you're in Jane Doe's quoting session, which means it dropped you right into Jane Doe's zip code. And if you've entered any drugs, pharmacies, or providers previously, they're going to show up right here as you left them. And you can edit from here too. So with that, you can start doing your plan comparison. So up top, you can browse across the four Medicare plan types. You can also start off by reading our TPMO script if you like with our dynamically populated numbers here. Browse plans, you can check out the premium. If there was a Part B give back, that would be highlighted too. Over-the-counter amounts are highlighted. Perks, cost estimates for the year, just the drug cost estimate plus the total cost estimate, which bakes in premium too. And then here you've got kind of a quick view of, for those drugs I added for Jane, are they in or out of network? And if in network, which tier? And providers. Let's see the providers added for Jane on a per location basis, who's in or out of network. You can see here if the location you chose is not a network, but a different one is, you'll get that highlighted for you. You can also filter, only show me plans with this drug on formulary or this provider in network. You can toggle pharmacy to see how the drug prices change depending on where they're filled. You can also filter to just your appointed carriers, so those ones that you added on the carriers page. If you like this filter checked all the time, you can apply it as a default in your account settings. And then down here, we also have a commissionable filter. So if there were non-commissionable plans, you would see those just with a label that identifies them as non-commissionable. But if you'd like to hide those, you can set this filter, and you can also make this a default too in your account settings for all new quotes you run. But we don't hide those non-commissionables. You're still going to see those, and you're still even going to see the small subset of plans that carriers choose to suppress. We'll still show those too, just so you can make sure you're giving your client a full comparison of all their options. If you see some plans you like, you can select them like so, picking up to 5 here, hopping into the comparison view, which looks like that. So here you've got your selected plans side by side for review. You can share this out with your client as a link or a PDF. If you do share it out as a link, they're going to see exactly this page minus the enrollment buttons. We don't yet have the Pearl self-enrollment capability. That's also about a month or two away, so stay tuned. And then if you click into the plan detail by clicking here or by clicking on that details button, you're going to land on the detail, which shows you all the information we've got about this plan. This is also shareable. It's got the highlights up top. Again, those cost estimates for both the remainder of the year and a full 12-month calendar year. Links to the official carrier plan documents, and then a granular breakdown of drug costs. So here's all those drugs I added for Jane with the costs across the retail deductible phase, initial copay phase, and catastrophic phase. Any limits on filling that drug get highlighted with this red circle, quantity limits, step therapy, etc. And then I've got the math done for me, so I can see how much Jane will pay for these drugs on this plan per month for the rest of the year, and even per drug per month. Seeing exactly when she's going to move from the deductible to the copay phase and copay to catastrophic, bringing it to 0, and what the grand total estimate looks like for the year. Here's the pharmacy added for Jane, and I'm seeing that it's in network and whether standard or preferred. Again, the provider network details are here too. Formulary for drugs across tiers and per pharmacy type. And then, of course, all the plan benefits here per category, copays, coinsurance rates, etc. If I like this plan, then I'm going to go ahead and click the enroll button to start the enrollment process. And if it's one of those 51 enrollable carriers, I'm going to see this page asking me which flavor of the enrollment form I'd like. If I'm recording the call, then I can compliantly choose voice signature, which is going to let me go through the whole enrollment form, fill it out, submit it all by myself as the agent, and I'm done. If I'm not recording or just prefer it, you can use e-signature, which means you, the agent, fill out the enrollment form, but then at the end, you're going to text and or email a link to the client that they're going to click to review, sign, and submit themselves. But either way, you're both going to get an email confirmation when it is submitted. I'll press continue now and hop into the enrollment form. So this is where you're going to actually, behind the scenes, you have moved into now the Connecture hosted enrollment form. So this is the one that is, CMS approved, carrier controlled enrollment forms and made seamless for you in that, as you can see, a lot of information gets pre-filled for you that you've entered before. So you're not typing anything twice. From here, you can breeze through this, and it really is the standard mandated enrollment form at this point. Select an SEP or two. And then on this page, I'll highlight that the PCP section has been pre-filled for me because I selected one of the Jane's providers as the PCP with that checkbox. So now that's pre-filled. I'm not looking for an NPI in the middle of this, and I can just go right through it. From here, it's the standard set of questions, payment, and so on. And this, because I chose voice signature, is the disclosure that I'm going to read out on the recorded line to count as my signature. And now I'm going to the final review page, which just repeats everything I've entered thus far. If I had chosen e-signature, this is where the client would have landed when they clicked their link. And then I can press submit. And when I do, the enrollment file will go off to the carrier with my agent NPN and agent writing number attached to it so they can identify me, identify my hierarchy, pay everyone out accordingly. We've done well over 10,000 enrollments through the system since we launched and have had no issues with carriers receiving the enrollment files, identifying the agent, and paying out. And that's really largely because, again, we're built on the connector enrollment rails, which, every carrier is very used to receiving and processing. Within 1 to 3 business days from submitting, it'll appear over in my carrier broker portal, but instantly upon submitting, it's going to appear here as submitted with all these details so that I can track it and know what I submitted right away. And then one last thing to highlight, let's say I've got health first here through one upline and devoted through a different upline. Both got enrolled through the system, one login, one workflow, one place to do reporting. So it's all streamlined and in sync. So that is the kind of core workflow of HealthSherpa Medicare, the add a new lead to submit for an enrolled client workflow. I'll highlight a couple aspects of the platform outside of that core workflow as well too. So one thing we do have is agency accounts. So if you're part of an agency and you'd like to connect up to your downline, you can do that by converting your account to an agency account in your settings page. That's going to give you this tab with a couple join code links. We've got two different ones. So you can share one join code with your captive LOA downline, which is going to give you, the agency, kind of full access into their book and visibility. You can also share a different one with your independent downline. In that case, the independent, will choose to add your join code on a per carrier basis. Much more limited data set will be shared up, primarily about just the policies submitted for those particular carriers while you're joined, and the independent, agent can detach themselves whenever they like. And then for your captive LOA connected agents, you also have access to this full book feature, which if you're a shop where your LOAs share a book of business, you can give them full book power, which is going to give them access to each other's clients and leads so that anyone can work anyone who happens to call in on your line. We'll have much more on the agency roadmap coming up, so stay tuned. We also have leaned into integrations this year. So if you're using an external CRM, we do have a variety of integration options. One is our general partner API. If you've got, say, a homegrown CRM that you'd like to link up to, this can also be used for linking to Medicare Pro, a popular CRM. And we've also got a Go High Level lead connector integration, which you may know as other names such as DFY, Agent CRM, GoGuru, etc. So those can be linked up too, as well as RetireFlow. And really, all of these integrations are about getting contact record data into the HealthSherpa system so that you're not having to do any dual entry or copy pasting from those systems into ours. And each of these CRM integrations will give you a quoting link so you can go straight from your CRM's Jane Doe profile into the HealthSherpa quoting session. And that's really streamlined. We'll be investing more in these integrations over the next several months too, to make them more robust, bring in more data, push back data, etc. We've also got a very accessible support team. This is an aspect of HealthSherpa that is really distinct from a lot of the other platforms out there. Any user, any writing agent who has an account can call, email, or chat with our support team for any questions or feedback they have. We also have a quite robust help center if you want to self-serve education or answer your own questions, demo video, etc. And then I'll also highlight back on the clients tab in this blue box, there's a variety of handy links, and one of them is that you can book a one-on-one demo on our agent success team's calendar for a walkthrough, questions, feedback, or anything you'd like. So check that out too. One last thing I'll show is because we just announced WellCare, I'll highlight that WellCare is using a unique enrollment flow that is different from all of our other carriers. So I'll walk through what that looks like. So if you're shopping and you see a WellCare plan you like, you can click enroll on that plan. And rather than going to that other enrollment form, you are actually going to a simple, streamlined, one-page HealthSherpa designed enrollment form that gets, largely pre-filled with any data you've put in for Jane Doe already. Just select an SEP, payment method. You can fill out any of this optional information as well if you'd like. And then you're just going to submit that. Upon submission, you're not quite done. What's going to happen next is you're going to get an email from Dropbox Sign, which is essentially like DocuSign or any of those other signature tools. Click that link, and then you're going to be actually taken into a WellCare PDF paper app that is all the way filled out for you based on what you entered on the HealthSherpa form. So this is all filled out. You don't need to do anything here except click next, add your signature, like so. Press continue. I agree. And then your part is done. At this point, your client is going to get an email just like this. They're going to click, they're going to sign their part of it. And then from there, it's actually going off to Connecture to it's actually their digital fax inbox. No paper involved here, but it's going to hit their digital fax and be processed just like any other enrollment would. So this is pretty quick, pretty streamlined. Check it out, give it a try. We're going to have an announcement of this sent out to everyone in just about an hour, which will have links to FAQs, etc. So take a look at that too. With that, that concludes the overview of HealthSherpa Medicare. Reminder, if you haven't signed up, head on over to medicare.healthsherpa.com to do that. There may be some questions left in the Q&A. If so, we'll stick around and answer those. But otherwise, thank you for joining and have a great AEP. Bye-bye.